Well, Gina, fans have only seen 2 episodes of The Real Housewives of Orange County, and we already know it's going to be a juicy season. But one thing that has come up the first couple of episodes is that a lot of the women have criticized your house for being so small.
You make fun of her like a condo and say, oh my God, how does she live in 1,600 square feet?
Oh, I did do that.
That's what she's pissed about.
Oh, well, yeah, but I'm not the only one doing that.
I think it's bad. You know, I think it's really bad. I think the whole thing is a very, you know, it just really highlights how jaded I think some of these women are, and, you know, that they've gone so far from what is a good reality to have about like how people live. It's bad, you know, it's atrocious. I think you should I mean, first of all, I'm someone who went through a bad marriage. You know, I was never rich or anything. Matt and I, we were proud of everything we had. We had a decent lifestyle, obviously, but I had gone through so much. Then, you know, I'm someone who is getting no support, gone through emotional trauma, physical trauma, get back on my feet, put this roof over my kids' heads that I'm extremely proud of, you know, and move on and find a way to do it. And the first thing they focus on is just like the size of my home, you know, and it's bad, you know, for them.
And for you, I mean, I would imagine that it's kind of hard watching that back and being like, how can I be friends with these ladies? Or what was your thought process watching that back?
Well, the point, I think the point that was driven home to me with the Braunwyn thing is like, this is why I'm not friends with Braunwyn. And right. I've never pretended to be friends with Braunwyn. And I think Braunwyn's value system overall about a lot of things, I'm just not in line with. And so it's like, it's not like it bothers me because it's like, I don't really value your opinion, so I don't really care. Right. Shannon, it was tougher with Shannon. But to be really completely honest, like Shannon, I wish she would just admit it, but she comes from a very different place, you know what I mean? And a very different lifestyle. And so it's kind of like, all right, you said it, but I'm not really surprised. She's not even going to admit it. So it's like, what are you going to do when somebody isn't going to admit it? If somebody's told me that they're my friend and then they tell me that they didn't say something, I have no choice but to believe it. But watching it back, Braunwyn does not seem to be lying about that. So I obviously, you know, I'm not blind.
Now, besides her making comments about your home, what else went wrong?
Well, I think the problem was that I knew that Braunwyn was never my cup of tea, for a lack of better words. But I just always accepted, you know what, but she's a part of this group of friends and she's like a friend of my friends, and I'm perfectly fine being in a room with her and I can tolerate it, but we're never going to be great friends, right? But I felt like she was coming after me and attacking me and bringing up things like those text messages that she's known about since last reunion, and we went to BravoCon and everything was great, and there was no reason to do it. And if I wanted it to be a thing last year, it absolutely could have been. Everybody knows that. And I felt like I went out of my way to not make that a thing, to try and be respectful. And then the cameras went up and she was talking to everybody else about them.
We recently talked to Braunwyn and she said that she felt ostracized by the group this season because she came out saying that she was an alcoholic. Do you feel like the group did that, or what is your take on that comment?
Okay, so I think that you'll see as the season goes on that I don't think that that's the case at all, but I do think that it is a very probably normal thing. Like everybody needs to understand, I think, when somebody comes out and says they're an alcoholic, obviously she's a woman in crisis. It's not got to be tremendously hard for her to go through everything and all these emotions that she's going through, but it does affect everybody. You know, and it does put us in certain situations where it's like, obviously we're a group of women who like to throw back a couple of cocktails, you know, and then it's like, you have to navigate all that too. Like as a group, like, well, do we just do that? Do we not do that? Like there's no manual for it. And I think that it's normal for people to, the whole group, I think we all need to figure it out. you know. But I would say that certainly I don't think anybody intentionally, maliciously ostracized her. And if she does feel that way, I feel bad that she feels that way. But, you know, I'm sure she's still going through a lot of emotions and feelings, and I can see how you would feel that way. I kind of I see it more as her pulling away than us pushing her out. That's really how I feel. And I think it's okay. It's normal, you know, and if you, I said to her too, like, you're gonna, like, obviously after I knew, like, you're going to lose some friends. You're going to have to reevaluate some friendships. You're going to have to make some shifts, and that's normal, and that's okay. I don't think she has to exit out of the group entirely, you know, but also maybe if she feels that she can't do it or doesn't want to do it, that's fine. But I don't think it's fair to like put that on us.
Now, have you talked to her since filming? Because I know she is going through a lot. It's been revealed that she's no longer living with her husband, and she's coming to terms with her sexuality. She's trying to find her new self. Have you talked to her?
So I hadn't spoken to her in a while. And then I watched the episode, and you have to understand too, like, I didn't know that she was an alcoholic. So I'm watching this stuff for the first time too, and my heart does go out to her and her family. And, you know, I know that right now, everything they're going through, they are like family crisis, and I feel for them. And so I watched the episode last night, and I got like a little upset. Like, I feel so bad, you know. I'm like, I didn't know, and I'm like yelling in this woman's face that she's a sloppy chihuahua, which is funny and whatever, but it's like she's so put me in crisis. I'm yelling in her face, you know. I feel bad. And I texted her, and I just said, you know, basically just, I wrote it a lot. So, and I like, because I kept deleting it, because I'm like, I don't know what to say. And I was just like, I wrote this text a lot. I just wanted you to know, despite everything, like, I really do wish you the best, and like hope that you and your family are okay. And she just wrote back like, thank you, I really appreciate it. And that's it, you know, because I do feel bad.
Right. Do you think maybe you guys will make amends in the future, or you guys are just two different people, two separate people?
We're definitely two different people. We always will be. But I don't think that having differences is a reason to not have a friendship. And I have so many friends and important friendships in my life that we are nothing alike, you know? So I think that's okay. I think the things that I have an issue with about Braunwyn, which hopefully I hope she works on, is that I think she sees herself one way. So she sees herself as this like women empowerment, and I'm gonna walk in Washington, and you know, stick up for women, and I'm all about it. But then at the same time, she's talking badly about a woman who picked herself up from a disastrous marriage, and talking badly about her. And now, like, even the things she's saying more recently, you know, it's hurtful. And it's like, that's anything but, to me, women empowerment. And so I don't know if I could have a genuine relationship with her if she isn't willing to like see herself as she really is. You know, I'm okay with it even if you're not the greatest. Like, I'm not perfect. I went to jail last year, you know, like, but I think that you need to be able, for me, friendships, they have to be genuine. And I think that all I require is that you have, like, you can self reflect and have, you know, that be able to look at yourself and see your flaws. Like, that's it. And if you could do that, like, great. Like, I'm not saying you have to announce them or whatever, but I just need my friends to be real. Basically all it is, you know? And I think that, but I recognize that she has been struggling, and she's gone through a lot, and she's being an alcoholic for years and years and years and years, and she doesn't really know who she is, and she's trying to navigate through that. And I really, you know, I hope she does. I see her, like, you look at her, she's like perfect, she's beautiful. You know what I mean? And I feel bad for her, because it's like, you got all the stuff that's required to be this rock star, but I just think she's dealing with a lot of inner battle.
Maybe one day there will be a friendship there. But you never know. You never know. I feel like, especially with the Housewives, you never know who's friends. You never know what's going on with the group of you guys. It's so much. But
and this season definitely is you will see a lot, and you will see friendships, and you will see interesting, I think, dynamics between people that you wouldn't expect. And it is very interesting, and it's very real, which is very refreshing.
Which is very refreshing. As a viewer, I love that, because I do want to know, this season is obviously different from the start because you didn't film with Tamara and Vicky.
Yeah.
So how was that? How did that change this group's dynamic?
So it's so interesting because, well, first of all, like, Tamara is my friend, you know. So like, I'm like, okay. And at first I was like, oh no, like, I was bummed just because she wasn't a part of it, and I was also like, how are we gonna like do this like without them? Because they do tend to steer the ship a little bit, you know. But what I found to be so amazing is that it was like the best thing that could have happened to us, because you take away somebody driving the boat and you're just on it out to sea, and like a lot of stuff happens, you know. And so you're just existing and showing up and talking about things that are really happening in your life, and it does change the dynamic of the group, and real things happen, and real friendships happen, and real fun happens, and real drama happens. And so I think if I'm trying to identify the key element here, it's the real part.
Right.
And I think that's good, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's the reroute that the show needed. So I do miss Tamra, but I think it actually is really good for us as a cast, and it allowed us all to kind of take more ownership of the fact that we are this cast, you know.
We see you starting this new life. You seem happy. How are you? You have this big blended family now. How is that going?
I do. We do. We have a big blended family, and it's really nice. It's really good. Our kids are the best, and they really love each other, and they have so much fun together. And you know, the only thing that I would say my home is not big enough for is how much love is inside this home. Because, and I know that sounds cheesy, and I don't know where that just came from, but it's true. And they really do. Like, our daughters are so bonded, and they're like in gymnastics together, and they do little dances all day long. Like, they're so infatuated with each other. Our little boys, we call double trouble. Like, they're literally attached at the hip. And it's just really nice. You know, we got an RV too, so
nice.
The ladies should know that I got a little extra square footage. But yeah, so we've been taking a lot of camping trips, and thankfully, you know, I don't think it would work if our kids didn't get along so well. So I'm very happy about that. Yeah.
And how is your relationship going, if you don't mind, you know, spilling a little bit? Because I know, were you hesitant about moving in without being engaged or married, or it's like, it's 2020, I can do it, I don't need to set the rules?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously I'm somebody who thought that I needed to set the rules, and I did, and I got married, and I did everything the traditional way, and it completely fell apart, and I don't think ever really that connection was there, which that's why I do feel, you know, badly too that things ended the way they did, because I think that if we weren't so young and we waited, and then we would have been able to see that the foundation wasn't there. But that said, it's like, I didn't hesitate, because I, like, literally, this is crazy, but I knew that I loved this man literally before I met him. And I just think it's just one of those things. Like, I was that person that was like, I will never, even, you know, after I was separated from Matt for a year or so before we tried to reconcile. So I was dating, you know, but I hated everybody. And then, you know, I will never introduce anyone to my children until I know it's going to be da, 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 da. But then, like, when you really just meet that person and you know, it's like, okay, well, what are we waiting for? And what's, like, one of the things you do need to do in order to know that it's going to work is introduce your children to each other, to that other. But we did that first. So it was like, we didn't all come together. I met Travis's children, then he met my children, then the children met each other. And to be honest, like, by the time we made the decision to just move in together, he was there all the time anyway, you know. So it's like, why not?
Do you guys see wedding bells in your future?
Everybody else said it's so funny. No, I mean, I don't. I'm very content. I keep saying this, like, I'm not against it.
Right.
but I don't need it. And but I do think that I think about how I see the benefit for the kids, because I try to put myself in their situation, and I feel like to children, this sense of like marriage makes them feel more secure. So that I do think about a lot, and that would definitely be a reason, obviously, for both of us to do that. Not the only reason, we're obviously in love, but